Hi, everyone. I'm Kim, and I'm here with Shira and Taris. Unfortunately, Lee and Juji couldn't be with us today. We are five friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. I forgive you. Those three words can sometimes be the most difficult to say and even more difficult to feel. Today, we'll explore pardoning those who have offended us, crossed us, sometimes violated us, and how we process it. Okay, girls, who's going to go there first?
I guess I will. This is a really hard subject for me and a lot of people. And I just wanted to share and open up with that this is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. A few years back when I decided that I wanted to heal myself on so many different levels, I went and I took a class, and the one part of the class, 4-part class that I refused to do was the forgiveness part, because that's just how hard it was. Like, as soon as we got to it, it was week 2, I stopped and I'm like, forgiveness? You want me to tell you all the shit that happened to me and then write it all down and then forgive all those people and myself? Not doing it. And I didn't do it. I totally skipped over the part.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was probably 3 or 4 years ago. Well, wait, no. Oh my God, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 2018.
Well, I know that's not who you are today, so I'm
That's
really
not, I
curious.
mean, it took
that
me,
journey.
it took me a good solid week or 2 weeks to say to myself, man up, girl. You did this whole big program for a reason. You dive deep, you get in there, and you start forgiving.
Wow. So what switch went off that made you go, all right, now I have to do this? And then what happened?
The same switch that always goes off in my head. I have a little conversation with myself and I say, grow the fuck up.
Right. And so you did it? So you did that part of the workshop?
So I did it. Yeah. I mean, I read through it the other day and I'm like, oh God, this is like rough. Yeah, I did it.
What was so hard for you? Like, what were you holding on to? Or, was there, because for everyone, it's so different. I know I have family that grew up with a belief that, you don't forgive, or I don't know where it comes from for everybody, but what was it for you? Like, what was
it's bringing up the buried feelings.
Mm.
You got to feel in order to forgive.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who was it that you were holding on to? Like, no way, not forgiving you, asshole. Like, who was that?
So at that point in my life, I was going through a really bad breakup with a narcissist who like destroyed my inner soul.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, that's when I read Radical Forgiveness. That's when I was going to the healing coach, my business life coach. And like, once I opened up that book of forgiveness, everything changed.
And, Taris, I definitely want you to share that information with us so we could put it below in the notes about that book, because you've talked about it a few times now. And it's so amazing how, there's the hurt that you feel, that the things he did to you or the way he behaved that hurt you. And that might always be with a person, but by forgiving him and being open to that, you just completely freed yourself, of all that anger and resentment and like all those emotions that you couldn't deal with, because, out of everyone, that when you hold on to those toxic negative emotions, that it really impacts your health.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. On a crazy level, it impacts your health. Like, I mean, I know for me it did. That's probably like a whole nother discussion, but.
No, but it's actually interesting. As Kim was saying that, I was thinking to myself, we talk a lot about self-care and nutrition and our skin and being fit and all that stuff. And it's like, that's such a missing element for a lot of people, that what you let in, like food goes into your mouth, into your body, right? And it's like your thoughts go into your mind and into your body. And it's like, that's why people talk about the mind-body connection. But I don't know that people always make the connection between, like, I am letting this thought in, and the thought could be, you're this, and, you know, blaming and shaming and
Yeah.
holding on to that really shitty feeling, like you crossed me and you did this to me and you. And like that has such an impact on us physically. And I
Yeah.
think I've mentioned this quote before about resentment, because resentment and forgiveness are like opposite sides of the coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
That resentment is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
that I did
Yeah.
that for a very long time, both with my mom and to some degree with my ex. Just held on to, like, there was a point in my relationship with my mom for a few years that I couldn't even look her in the eye. I would literally
Yeah.
talk to her and she would be talking to me and I'd be like, yeah, well, you know, I guess, like, do you know me not to look someone in the eye when I'm talking to them?
Mm.
Could not
Wow.
look at her. Couldn't look at her.
Shira, I can't imagine you, because I didn't know you years ago, but I can't imagine you not exploring and feeling your feelings. Like you're just not that person today. Like today, you know, as much as it might hurt, like you are, you know, you have to go there.
Oh yeah.
So to imagine you like not even looking at her and stuff, I'm like, I don't even know who that person is. It's amazing to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I just buried a lot of stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would like get mad at her. Like I would just want to like hold her and go, listen to me. You're not listening to me, you know?
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that as I grew up and grew older, I realized that there's you're processing it as the person won't listen to you. But the truth is that they can't.
Mm.
They cannot, they're not able to. So like that's what the forgiveness part is. I forgive you for not being able to, not for being a jerk and not for violating me and offending me and all of that stuff. Like sometimes you just need to like wake up and go, why do I keep knocking my head against the wall? Like, why do I keep trying to do the same thing? That whole insanity quote, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, I think that my hope is that this show like helps people kind of come to these realizations and
Mm-hmm.
not stay so stuck in any
Mm-hmm.
one phase of resentment or whatever it is we talk about.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's up to us to wake up. We can't wake up other people. We have to go,
Yeah.
wow, something's really wrong here.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
oh, sorry. So, you know, it's interesting as you were saying that what was coming up for me is that, you know, we surround ourselves with certain people. And when you're going through shit and you don't know how to forgive and you're like, oh, woe's me, and you surround yourself with other people that are like that, then you just all feed each other, right?
Yeah.
Like how bad it is. Yeah, I'm not going to forgive that person. Yeah,
Yeah.
you believe that person did that? And you become like this little clutch, and it's like a
Yeah.
gossip clutch, and
Yeah.
you all feed each other with the negative emotions,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
once you rid yourself from that, you know, and you start thinking for yourself and you start surrounding yourself with good positive people or good positive mentors and coaches and stuff like that, people that won't allow you to put that into your space, that's when you really start to change. And when you start to actually think, you know, of more positive thoughts and getting out of that headspace of resentment and
Yeah.
not forgiving and
Yeah.
woes me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I saw.
And it's hard to be around people who hold on to resentment and anger and don't forgive. It's hard to be around those people once you know not you know become that other person for yourself.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I know I really struggle with that. You know,
Me
right now
too.
I'm not going into my office, but there it was somebody I used to work with that a few people who you know, just kind of definitely held on to some things that, and would, you know, complain or vent about it or bitch about it or whatever. And it just always bothered me because I always felt it was a choice. Not always. I
Yeah.
see now that it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You choose to live in that space or you could choose not to. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I've just, over the course of my healing journey, I just feel the difference inside. And me being on my skin journey, I see the difference on my skin. So, you know, I see the way stress affects me. I see the way resentment and anger and all of those negative toxic emotions affect me physically and how it affects me emotionally. I feel it. So I just I can't help but, I never want to go back there. Like, it just feels too good.
Well, it's an
Yeah,
awareness,
agreed.
right? It's an awareness. And I just thought of an analogy in my head. And, sometimes when we're in like the vortex of whatever, the hurricane, the chaos, right? We're like kind of in it. It's kind of like removing yourself. Let's say there's like a storm going on outside, and the storm is the storm of your life, whatever situation is causing you all this stress and depression, anxiety, whatever. You just make a choice to go into another room and view it from the outside looking in, right? So like you're outside, here's the window, I'm looking at the chaos, right? Once you get that perspective and you go, wow, there's like so much chaos going on over there, you put space in between the chaos and yourself. Because the person watching the chaos, that's who we really are. We really are the observer of our
For the
lives.
watchers.
We
Yeah.
just get so sucked into, because we don't understand there's another way to process all of it. And so I think that so many millions of people hold on to resentment because they just have to be right. Like, we'd rather be
It's
right than
ego.
be happy. We'd rather be right than be happy. And it's
Yeah.
like, once you start questioning that, it's like, what the hell? This is what?
I was about
Yeah.
to ask, do you think that also comes with time and age and growing up? But then again, I look at some people in my life and I don't think so.
Well,
Yeah.
it works both ways. There's some older, wiser people, and there's some
Yeah.
younger, wiser people, and there's some older, curmudgeonly, holding on to grudge people, and then, you know what I mean? Like, it comes in
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Kira, can I go back to something you said earlier? You pointed out how people, when you have a lack of forgiveness and you're holding on to this resentment of what somebody did, or let's say they didn't listen to you or whatever, you said like, it's not that they won't, it's that they can't. And that you have to forgive and accept the fact that they can't, treat you a different way, or whatever they're going through emotionally, they can't listen to you, or, whatever the situation is. But it's almost like, it feels to me, do you guys think that people on the other side, the ones who want to forgive, or maybe need to forgive them to feel freer and better, that they don't believe that they don't believe, because, even just the other night on a call, I was talking to you guys and I said the words, what did I say? I said, people do the best that they can.
Oh, yeah.
And it started this whole big kind of, not an argument, but like a really good, healthy back and forth. And you guys, I think Taras, you were like, I don't believe that, people can do better, blah, blah, blah. And you gave us a specific situation. And I can see how most people feel that way. But when you say like they can't, that's kind of what I meant by that statement was, when people act a certain way, it's like, I don't know if I believe that they can do better.
Well, I know where you're going with this. And what I'm saying is, as the recipient of the shit, a better way to process it. I'm not saying like their lives is their responsibility. But what I'm saying is, if you've asked for something, or if you've expressed something and things are not changing, a better way to process it for yourself is to say, they're not able, and I'm not going to knock my head against the wall anymore. Because when you say you won't, then you take it personally.
Yeah.
But if you say they can't, then you go, oh, well, maybe I should find, like Taras was saying, maybe I should find other people to be my support system.
Yeah.
Because how many times are you gonna?
Yeah. It's interesting, Shira, that you say that, because for me to come to terms with my past relationship, one of the things I had to tell myself is, he's incapable of being a different person. He's incapable of seeing things in a good way, or in a holy way, or in a respectful way. Like, he's 20 years older than me. He's done. He's set in his ways. Like, he's who he is. He's been this way for so many years. Like, if he can't change himself, nobody's changing him.
That's right.
A friend of mine, I have someone who's narcissist that is in my life, a family member, and I have my best friend has her mother is narcissistic, so we share that. We talk about that sometimes. And she said to me one day, she said, Kim, you have to look at that person like, she goes, what would you do if you saw a wounded bird on the street? She goes, what would you do? What would you physically do? And I said, well, I would probably pick it up and take it to the vet, and I'd pick it up. She's like, how would you pick it up? I said, I'd pick it up ever so gently.
Right.
And she said, that's this person. They're a wounded bird.
Right.
And you have to treat them as such, and remember that they're wounded, they're sick, or they're ill. And, you know, sometimes it's just really difficult to get past the hurt.
Well,
you know?
to your point, Kim, like I love that analogy about the wounded bird, but when you yourself feel wounded, you can't have empathy for someone who you feel has wronged you, because then you're because we feel like we've done so much and we've tried and we want to change them and we want life to be better. And now we have to like pick them up gently like a wounded bird, like, no, thank you, you know? But having said that, our conversations are about awareness, right? So if you're aware that they're a wounded bird and not out to get you, then you change. And that's kind of the hard part of life. But
there are some times where this person has a very negative impact on me, and I'm in that mental, emotional place of anger, like nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I'll sit there and I'll say to myself, wounded bird, wounded bird, wounded bird. Just try to.
And does it help?
It doesn't really help, but it keeps me aware. I can't control this situation. I can't control that behavior. The only thing I could do, like Shira pointed out, was step behind the window and observe it from the other side. That's all I can do. Because when I'm in it, my emotions just get the best of me, and then I act in ways that I know is not who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one thing that I think I've learned the most about forgiveness, and I really learned this a lot from my own mom, and I really am grateful for this. I think when you can't forgive someone, say, for not loving you enough, it actually teaches you self-love. You know, I've had people in my life who I've had a hard time forgiving for not supporting me in different areas of my life, and that only empowers me. It only gives me motivation to support myself. Like in every single instance in my life where I didn't feel something from someone and I needed that from them, it really always brings me back to me giving it to me.
That's such a healthy way to process.
Such a healthy way.
No, because the truth, that's like the journey. Sorry, I just want to say one thing. Like, to me, sometimes I think about like, that's the journey of life. Like, we come into this life alone and we leave it alone, right? We're just, right? So if we don't get it, that we have to be okay with ourselves along this journey, because so many of us lose ourselves in the process. But if we can keep reminding ourselves, like, this is my journey to have. Like, all of you players, you're like the extras in the movie, but this is really my movie. And it's like, it sounds like it's selfish, but I think that there's a healthy part to being selfish, because you have to be okay with yourself before you're okay with others. Like, that's just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did a workshop once, and this, I was talking about, well, the introduction had something similar to what you just said. And I pointed out to these young girls that we're the star of our own movie. And, you know, the theme of my movie was shame most of my life. And, you know, growing up in an alcoholic home, developing a skin disease, it was just everywhere I turned. I just never could get away from this theme of shame. And I was just pointing that out to these girls and sharing about myself. And it came to the point where I, you know, asked them if anyone would like to share if they knew what their theme was, or was there a running theme that they could just kind of see, you know? And one of the girls raised her hands and she said, complicated. But I love when you can look at it in that way and compartmentalize, like, what are some themes here? Because I know theme for one of my family members is like lack of forgiveness, like that this person will not forgive anyone. And that's sad. It makes me sad. But the thing is I know I can't change that person. I could just be a role model for that person and have that person really hopefully see my compassion and empathy and, you know, the choice of not holding on to anger. And you hope that, you know, I hope that resonates with that person.
Totally. And
Yeah.
think about family members that don't talk to other family members. We're like, oh yeah, I haven't spoken to my brother in 20 years, or I haven't seen my mom in 15 years. It's like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
and of
Well,
course,
it's
typically about
interesting.
family.
It's interesting you say that, because you could forgive people and still not talk to them. Like, I've done that a lot. And I
Yes.
go, you know what, for my own health, my own sanity, I forgive you,
Mm-hmm.
but I really don't want you in my space or my circle,
Yeah.
because you're just evil, or you're just not one of those
Yeah.
people that I want around in my
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, just back to what you were saying before, Shira, is that we're all here alone. We come into this world alone. We go through our path, whatever our story is, whatever our theme is, right? And we get through. And it's interesting, because I thought that for a long time. And I always said, you're here, you're on your own, you got to make through it, blah, blah, blah. And, one day I kind of woke up and I was like, but I'm not here alone. Like, there's one person out there who put us all here.
Yeah.
And we have to keep that in mind.
Right.
Like, God's got us.
Yeah.
And I hate to bring the religion thing into it. I know people
Yeah.
are not religion, but this is my belief.
That's fine.
God brought us here, right? And he put us all on a path. And it's our jobs to find out what that path is, and why we're here, and, what our journey, what our point and
Purpose.
purpose is
Yeah.
for being here.
Mhm.
And I just think it's really important. And, we might not all have the same faith and believe in things, but there's one really big thing that God taught us, and that's forgiveness,
Mhm.
right? And he, as some of us believe, he put Jesus here to forgive our sins. So if God could put his son here to forgive us all for our sins,
Mhm.
then why is it so difficult for us to just forgive others? And I think that we're all here, and that's one of our biggest tests, right? To just very easily be like, you know what? God forgives us every day. So let's just put shit behind us. And if he could forgive us, he's our creator, he made us, then we should just forgive others. And that's something that I put in my head. And it was just a lot easier for me to deal with people coming in and out of my life.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And the only thing I will say about that is, for those that have the faith, or for those that have that belief system, it is much easier.
Yeah.
For those that don't, they have to find another way to
Yeah.
process it. Like, maybe they're having health issues, and maybe they need to explore the fact that, wow, like I have this, whatever this condition I have, maybe it has to do with me holding on to all this anger. Like, shit, like, so there's so many ways to look at it. But I thought maybe we would each give like a little pearl of wisdom about, trying to release resentment. And what I'll say, just to start that ball rolling, because we need to wrap soon, is sometimes just saying the word, like closing your eyes, picturing the person that has wronged you or misperceived, I want to say misperceived you, maybe you've misperceived them, but whoever's done the transgression, is literally close your eyes, imagine the person's in front of you, and literally just say, I forgive you, or I release the anger that I have towards you. And it's not a once and done thing. Like, you have to kind of do it over time. And then one day you wake up and you go, oh, I kind of feel a little different. Like, something's been released. Like, you have to want it for yourself. That's the bottom line. You have to want it for yourself.
I'll piggyback on that and say that, there was a program that I did, a self-development program called Landmark. And something that we learned in Landmark that was just life-changing was they made us see how when someone behaves a certain way or does something to you or even says something, no matter what it is, that in our minds, we make it mean something. So majority of the time that I'm upset with someone, it's really not about what they said or what they did. It's that I made it mean something that really hurts.
Yeah.
Just one small example was I gave a piece of my writing once to my old boss, and I thought it was brilliant. And she, instead of making a positive comment that I was expecting, like, this is great or something, she pointed out something in the letter that was, she just thought it shouldn't be there. She just kind of was like, why did you say this or whatever? And I said, oh, I'll get rid of that. I'll change that, whatever. I walked away and I was so close to tears. And because I made it mean that my letter sucked and that it was terrible and that I was stupid and I was a bad writer and all these stories in my mind that I created. So sometimes, and it really took me a little while to get over that. Like I walked around the block. I had to go take a walk. I left the building. And then finally I was like, okay, what am I making this mean? And when I was able to really sit with what I was making, with the stories going on in my head, it just changed everything. I was like, oh, wait, did she say I was stupid? Did she say that was she didn't say any of those things. You know, I didn't get the reaction I wanted, but that, you know, so anyway, I just wanted to share that because sometimes we just need to really sit and look at what we're making that mean.
Yep. T, any pearls from you?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I have really learned is to just, you know, whatever you have that's going inside your body, it's not worth the anxiety. So man up and clear it up. And
woman up?
Man or woman up, yeah. Man up just sounds so much better, sorry. You know, dig deep, and I'm a big writer, so like write it all down, feel it, tackle it, and just let it be. I mean, I just think that there's a power in writing. Take a class. If you can't do it yourself, there's so many classes out there, but be by yourself if you're too embarrassed to like openly discuss it with anybody, and just, you know, mull through it.
Yeah. Just one other quick thing on the writing, and that is that sometimes we can write a letter to the people that really hurt us and not send it. Like,
Don't send it.
But you can write it out like, you did this and I hate you, whatever it is. Just
get vicious. But
then just don't send it. Releasing your emotions, and I think that's what's so needed to free ourselves up. You know, it's not, even if you don't forgive the person right away, or if whether you do even just in your own mind a year later, it doesn't matter. It's like freeing yourself of those negative emotions, not keeping them down with you. But I have to tell you, girls, we need to come back for a part 2 now, because the one person that I struggle with the most personally is not really others. It's with myself. I have such a hard time forgiving me. So let's continue on to a part 2, because there is so much more to talk about here. So thank you so much for listening to this conversation. If you love our conversations and our topics, please feel free to subscribe to our channel and tell your friends and like us, and just
share the love.
Yeah, exactly. And if you'd like to request a topic, feel free to comment below. We'll see you soon, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.